Hey guys, welcome back to the KingdomCore podcast. This is Sean.
And this is Chris.
And thank you for listening today. This is episode number 6 of the KingdomCore podcast. We are thankful that you guys keep coming back. And today we have an awesome interview. We just finished up with Sean McCulloch, vocalist of Phinehas.
Yeah, it was a super awesome conversation. We went in depth about album lyrics and just talking about his faith throughout COVID and just how this whole last couple of years has affected the band and where they're at now. And it was a super incredible conversation. We really hope that it blesses you guys. And just stick around to the end because it's awesome.
That's when it gets good.
And with that, we'll hop into our interview with Sean from Phinehas.
Album, the fire itself. I keep wanting to say the fire inside. I don't know why.
Because the AFI is great.
Yeah. So congratulations. How's it feel to have new music out there again?
Feels good. Feels weird. Also, just with the state of everything, it feels very different. So, but I'm pumped. Like, it seems like people like it, and that's really cool because I know we worked really hard on it. You know, this process was obviously a lot different, but
yeah. Do you want to take us through that a little bit? Like the whole change of doing this through COVID, but also like maybe having not been in the studio for a long time. Like it seems like it was such a long wait for this one.
Yeah. So let's see, Dark Flag in 2017, towards the end there in November. We toured hard, and we had been for a long while. Got to 2019, did that last run with As I Lay Dying, and then me and my family moved cross country from Iowa to California. And let's see, Dan joined Fit for a King. Bryce is a road dog, so he was out with either Fit for a King or Silent Planet, either tour managing or just, driving or doing stuff like that. Like he loves doing that stuff. So
I heard he's out with Creed right now. Is that true?
Where did you hear that from?
I thought, didn't you say that I heard you in an interview talk about that, I think. Or is that just completely a joke?
Yo, so okay, here's I can't spill the beans, bro. I can't spill the beans.
Shoot. It was on the HM Black Sheep podcast.
Oh, I know, but oh man, those guys, they have a really funny process to like their thing, and
okay.
Basically, no, I mean Bryce isn't out with Creed. He's not.
Okay.
It was set up by them, and we kind of talked it over and came up with some ideas, but it's kind of interesting though that you ask that. Like I told them like at some point I'm going to get asked about that. And I'm going to laugh my butt off and that happened. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All of us dudes in the band are trolls. That's just how it is. Like we troll each other nonstop, and it's partially payback as well, because like it was for Dark Flag, since that was when Lee was leaving the band. Like Lee left the band before Dark Flag came out, right?
Right.
But he wanted to make sure that he recorded his parts before, and so he left. Which now he's a full-time missionary in Ukraine, and him and I are in a fantasy football league together, and he kicks my butt every time we play. But love that guy and miss him. Anyways, so he was headed out, and Bryce got asked the question, well, who's coming in on the drums? Who's going to record the drums for Dark Flag? What are you guys going to do? And Bryce was like, oh yeah, Sean's going to record them. And just deadpan, because like all of us can do that,
Yeah.
It's like, oh man. Anyways, that entire album cycle, which was twice as long as any of our other album cycles, I got asked that multiple times.
Oh man,
You
that's
play drums on
hilarious.
Dark Flag.
And if you know, okay, here's the thing: is that he knows people who've been in like a music room or a jam sesh with me know that me playing drums is just the most asinine thing. It's just that I've always wanted to play drums. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like they're sick, but I'm the worst drummer. There's nobody worse at drums than me. So that's why I said that, and that's why the joke happened. And like it was funny because like people were like giving me props, and I'm like, "What are you talking? Oh my gosh!" And like there's like the part of me that wants to be like, "No, that's not true." Like tell anybody whoever says anything about that to you that that's not true. You heard it from the horse's mouth. But there's that other troll part of me that's just like, "Thank you."
Oh, I love that.
And so anyways, so yeah, Bryce isn't out with Creed. As sick as that would be, and I would just be punishing him for backstage passes and would just fangirl over Scott Stapp. Actually, I mean, I'm sure Tremonti's out, right?
Yeah, probably with the new album out.
I think
that was a really good album.
It's
funny that speaking of like drumming and Tremonti and all this like combined, is one of my youth students at my church, his dad, who's a drummer at our church, every once in a while when I'll play bass and he's on drums, and he's just like, "Dude, you have to listen to Tremonti." Like, okay. And yeah, it's definitely some good stuff.
Word.
That's cool.
I heard. I think I heard 2 songs from it, and I was like, the rock element of it isn't really for me, but the dude shreds, and like any rock stuff like that. Like it has to be like a really nostalgic like band, or like it has to be dated in my mind, right? Like anything that comes out now, I'm just like, and it's not because the music's not good. The music's great. Music's better than it was 20 years ago. It's just that, we all like things that are familiar to us. So
that's true. So going back to what you were saying before, so did you guys start tracking for the fire inside? Why do I keep saying that? The fire. I'm so sorry. The fire itself. Did you guys start tracking for the fire itself before COVID, or did that album, like, were you guys planning on releasing that or recording it in 2020, releasing it then the pandemic happened, so it delayed it? What was like your guys' plan with this record?
I'm sorry, I've had like 8 LaCroix today. I'm just burping so much. Oh my gosh. And also, I'm going to answer your question, I swear. Just come along for the ride, okay?
Okay.
So I just got off of doing Whole30.
Oh, yeah.
And that's no dairy, no grain, and no sugar.
Basically no happiness.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's very limiting. But I did it. And so did my wife. We did it together. But it was very hard, right? Mm-hmm. So I got off work today, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to treat myself because I just did Whole30. I went and I got a queso loaded nacho from Del Taco. Please sponsor me. And and I've drank like so many LaCroix since, and I'm just burping up gloriousness. It's made me hungry all over again for these nachos. So, anyways, obviously I needed to go on Whole30 if I'm like that crazy about Del Taco. But
I mean, who doesn't love Del Taco, right?
That's my spot. That's my spot. The best fast food fries. Hands down.
So it's funny you mentioned Del Taco. I remember you're not going to remember this. I saw you guys back in 2017 when you guys played Chain Reaction with Era. And I came up to you after the set, and I was chatting with you, and I was like, dude, that was amazing. how are you doing? And you're like, dude, I had Del Taco 2 hours ago and I almost threw up every song. And I still remember that to this day. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to bring that up. But you brought up Del Taco so naturally.
Hey man, it's a thing, dude. That place that's my spot. I love it. And despite, whatever lies get spread about Del Taco, like they do actually have some like healthy options there. So like whenever you're on the road and you come closer to the West Coast and you get Del Taco, it's a treat, man, to get just a grilled chicken taco. All right. And oh, dude, it's I love that place. Anyways, but that sounds like me. Like we got to California, we got to Anaheim, and one of the first things that our band decided to do was to get Del Taco. That's awesome, though. Well, shoot, man. As for your initial question, I'm so stoked on all of these rabbit trails. By the way, that's like how every conversation
I love it.
I take part in. Like, I just it's hard for me to like. It's not hard to stay focused. Like I remember what you asked, like we're gonna get there, but like there's something about like stories and rabbit trails and like telling random backstories. And oh my gosh, like the backstory of you asking me that and me having that makes me very happy. Okay. So I can't remember what came first. I think we had just gotten off tour with Is That As I Lay Dying run, and Dan had tracked a couple of ideas. I know that the song, The Fire itself, like the main riff, I think he had initially wanted it to be a fit song or something like that.
Oh, really?
And then it like changed course, I can't remember. And it's, we're going back 2 years at this point, and I just remember like the definitive like, okay, we're doing this moment was maybe like 2 months into the pandemic, like March or April of 2020, and Dan sent me a full idea for The Fire itself, the song, and said, hey, just finish this song, wanted to get your thoughts. If you have any ideas, start tracking and sending them over, and let's write something and let's make use of this time, because this thing seems like it's going to be around for a while, And so that was kind of like the definitive moment of being like, yeah. So I was stoked. Anyways. I will say this, though. Our process didn't really change. It just got spread out over more time. The past 2 albums prior to The Fire itself, I would fly out to Dan. At one point, it was when he was still in Atlanta, and that was for Till the End. And I remember we tracked Tetelestai and 7.
Okay.
And those are probably like some of the more involved songs on that album, where it's like all over the place dynamically. Then for Dark Flag, I think I flew out either once or twice, and I remember us, just nailing down some songs. We did close to a song a day, and that would have been Break the Earth, Hell Below, Burning Bright, and
so many good songs.
I didn't really have the capability of tracking some of my ideas, like I had means to it, but not like I do now. I mean, I don't have like this cool setup or anything. It's still like it's a demo setup, but it's all I need.
Right.
But songs like Burning Bright, where it's really weird, like we needed to be in the same room.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because there's a rhythm section underneath it that doesn't happen unless Dan's in the room. Like, he's so good at that. So for The Fire itself, when it came down to it, like, I live in Fullerton right now. He is based out of Rancho. So that's it's like 30 minutes away,
Yeah, that's not far.
So every Friday, we kind of combined our COVID bubbles, I would drive out there and we'd stay up until like 4 or 5 in the morning and just be tracking guitars. And when we're tracking guitars, like that's like the guitars for the album, tracking guitars. And so we're writing as we do it. And you know, there's drums that get laid down as well, and bass that gets laid down as well. And
you track the drums, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, he thought I was serious.
But I did.
Oh man.
No, I did. I like here. I'll show you some pictures. I have them in my phone. I'm just playing. But like that was awesome.
How far will the troll go?
Right. No, yeah.
That's good.
No, Dan has a really awesome setup, and as an engineer, he's just insane. He's so good at what he does. So yeah, that happened. You know, there were some weeks off here and there, but you know, a 4-hour chunk here or there, and there were some songs. You know, there were some songs that I demoed out and had sent over. And he did his thing with them, and they turned out awesome. And then we kind of come back after the fact and kind of go over them and see how we can play with it to maybe trim the fat, or, you know, take the song not in a different direction or anything, but like add a slight change, or, you know, I think this transition would flow better if it wasn't X going on, you know, it was just this, or we got done with guitars. Dan's really good at budgeting time and setting complete producer mindset, and he's incredible at it. You know, setting a timeline and saying we should be here at this point in time so we can be here. You know, I mean, it all ended up working out pretty much as soon as we were done with guitars. Isaiah was slated to go in at Glow in the Dark Studios to track his drums. So as soon as Isaiah was out, then I had to go in there and, you know, give myself migraines for 8 hours a day for 14
Did it feel
days.
weird stepping back into that vocal booth after 4 years?
I mean, it's weird. It's kind of a mind game. At least for what I do, I would imagine like other vocalists who sing and scream, like they go through the same thing where like there will be one of those two that's doing really well that day, and then the other one is just like it. Yeah. It's tough to like try and find a balance, and to, especially after such a long time, right? Like
right.
There's one song on the album where I felt like I had my Dark Flag scream and my Till the End scream, you know, and the rest of them are not. The Fire Itself.
Okay.
Like that's the one that I had literally years spent working on that. And like I discovered it at Till the End when we were tracking Forever West, because that was the second song we tracked for that album. And you don't hear it on Dead Choir because that was the first song.
Okay.
But yeah, like I had spent years just like, okay, how can I hone this? How can I get better at this? Blah, blah, blah. Because I felt for a long time, like I was doing that live, and then I would get into the studio and it would be completely different. And it was really frustrating to me. Like there's songs on The Last Word Is Yours to Speak where I feel like my vocals sound so bad that I hate it and I never want to hear that CD again. Like it's weird, but like
I think that's Chris's favorite Phinehas record.
I mean, it's just one of those things like where if you do something and you know that like simultaneously on the road you're doing something that you feel is way better, you're going to be dissatisfied with that other thing, you know?
That's fair.
And it's not I love the songs. I wish I could have performed them better. And that's how I'm always going to feel, you know?
How did you feel with The Fire Itself? Because I was listening to it yesterday, and I noticed, I noticed it like upon early listening. I thought you sounded different than even Dark Flag. Like it had a different tone in your voice, at least for most of the songs, maybe not all of them, but I don't know if that was just like a production thing or.
Are you talking about the screams or the sings?
Screams.
It's because it is different.
Yeah.
It's because it is different. That's like going back to like the first two records and how I sounded there. Now, granted, I feel like I had a lot better performances on The Fire itself, and I feel like the way we tracked it was a lot smarter. And I also feel like the choices of when to do certain screams and when not to do them also matters to make it sound good. Like to where now when I hear like The Fire itself, or sorry, not that song, but like Eternally Apart, I hear it and it sounds as aggressive as I want it to be. It might not be like my favorite scream tone that I've ever like recorded, but I like the way it turned out, you know. But then you listen to The Fire itself, and it sounds like a different technique.
Yeah.
If you go back and listen to it, to me, in my head, I hear it every time. It's the mids, which is, you know, that's my bread and butter,
right?
That's in that song that for a lot of the rest of the record, I just couldn't find again. Like that was the first song we recorded, and then after that, it was just struggling. So, it's a mind game, though. It's a mind game, and it's like there's parts of it that feel like a puzzle while you're in the vocal booth, you know, and that was completely the same as all of the rest of the albums. It's never smooth. Like we got it done when we wanted to get it done. So in that sense, like time wise, we did it, you know, but like that, however many hours that is just always so stressful, man. It's always so stressful.
So The Fire itself, I remembered the name. The Fire itself, it's a pretty deeply personal record. I feel like in the past you've written more about, I don't know, circumstances going on around you, sometimes personal, but I know that this record, you talked a lot about your struggles that you went through, a lot about, I don't know, things you discovered about yourself during the quarantine, during the pandemic. Could you talk a little bit about just the lyrical themes and what sort of inspirations you had for the lyrics?
Yeah. So I think everybody had a rough year, you know, everybody had a rough 2020. Thank God we're pretty much like, I mean, 2020 is over, right?
Right.
2021's almost over.
There's still that lingering effect, like going into 2021. If you brought problems in to that year with you, they were just like exacerbated and just like blown into full-blown issues by that year, and just like the type of stress, and like it's pretty incredible what breaking routine and normalcy in every way, like it's pretty incredible how much that disrupts like mental health and just everything. Like everything's new and terrifying. So but yeah, that like went into 2020, me and my family were struggling, and it was not an easy time at all. Had some really tough stuff going on, you know. So yeah, sorry.
Oh, no problem, dude.
You're good, Ben.
You know, whether it's anxiety or depression, like, you know, that stuff will get to you, and then you got the isolation, and you know, everybody staying as far away as possible. It's really easy to feel alone, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that, you know. And so, like I said, breaking the routine, things being taken, like people had loved ones pass away. People had their livelihoods taken. You know, it's just everybody's in shambles. And if you have any type of like mental struggles going on during that, you know, it's just going to punch you right in the throat. So, yeah, in the midst of that, started going to counseling, and therapy, and me and my wife as well started going to marital counseling, and things were very hard. And everybody got put in positions that they didn't want to be put in, and so yeah, man, I tried to be as transparent in the lyrics as possible, while still trying to make it as relatable as possible, because I knew in that, I know in that look, I know that my struggles are worthy of being addressed, but I also know that other people are, going through a lot as well. And I know there's a lot of people, like I said, who lost loved ones, had their livelihood taken away, families torn apart. And there's a lot of people who had it worse than I did. And so there was talks of should we even release this? Blah, blah, blah. We had heard some bands were putting off their release because of the pandemic, because you can't tour on it and all this stuff. And all of us are just no, we gotta release this no matter what. Hopefully it'll hit somebody and that it would impact them in a positive way. If not for any positive things said in the album or cool riffs or whatever, just for the fact that they would know that they're not alone in what they're going through. Everybody's having a rough time. So
yeah, I think the song "The Storm in Me" is definitely one that just hearing it now, I can definitely picture that being one of those songs that really really can impact somebody going through a tough time and dealing with mental health, like anxiety and depression, and just realizing like in the chorus is we don't have the strength sometimes on our own to deal with that. And I don't know, in our case as Christians, leaning on God to really push us through that.
yeah, I mean that's at the heart of that song. It's like I tried to write it in a hymn format,
Mm-hmm.
with the pull me out of the water type thing, and but from a broken place, so.
Dude, thank you for sharing. That's
Yes, thank you.
that's very good stuff, very deep stuff, very heavy. Go in a little lighter direction. Let's talk about what is your favorite track on the album. What song means the most to you? What was the most fun to record? And then on the flip side, what was the toughest song for you to record?
Okay, so I'm going to start with that second one first, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Dream Thief was the hardest.
Oh, okay.
Dream Thief 100% was the hardest. Are you asking vocally or
just for you or for the band? Whatever that answer is to you.
I would definitely say Dream Thief. I remember, I think that was the second or third song that we tracked, and at that point I had pretty much lost my voice, and at this point I was wondering if I wrote a lot of those lyrics at a point in the past couple of years where I was like, man, are we ever gonna is this just how things are gonna be, and all this was just wasted, and it's a very 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 not uplifting song, save for the last two sentences of it. And so while my voice is giving out screaming as hard as I can, because that's the only way I can get a decent noise to come out of my mouth, screaming, who are you when your dream is dead? It felt very relevant as I was screaming it. And there's pain here, yeah, it was painful. And that one was a painful one to write. So there's that one. My favorite would probably be Eternally Apart, just because to me, it's a very fun song in that it's all over the map. Mm-hmm. It's melodic, it's got some of the heaviest parts on the record on it. There's only two breakdowns, but like I feel like we made them count. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
Yeah.
like doing that type of stuff and like not really being boxed in by the all right, we got to get in, get out, 2-minute, 30-second banger type of thing. Like, you know, being able to do something more than that and have it all like have it feel like the same thing. You know, that was a lot of fun for us. So
Yeah, actually, I just realized it's a over 5-minute long track.
yeah,
I mean, it's got that like 1.5-minute intro. It's great.
Yeah, which we haven't done that, you know, and it's like it's not like nobody's ever done that before. Like, no, of course people do that all the time, right? But we hadn't, and so we had fun doing it, you know, and we feel like it was appropriate for the song. Dan and I wanted it from the beginning to be the album opener. I've been asked, you know, as well, like, well, I feel like In the Night would have been a good opener too, and I'm like, you have a point. Bryce and Isaiah both wanted that as the first song on the album. And the only way that we could like get them to go along with Dan and I's like vision for it was, how about this? Eternally Apart is the first song on the album, but In the Night is the first single that we'll release.
Okay.
And so we kind of came to that compromise.
Talking about Eternally Apart, could you go into the lyrics and the inspiration behind that track?
Yeah, so that's like it's an interesting hold on. Let me think of how to approach this. I have to tell you guys this. I did this interview with these amazing people, and bless their hearts, they asked me some like really, really heavy questions, and like I wanted to be like completely honest with them and everything. But when you asked me like that deep question, right? How many pauses did I take? You're probably just sitting there like, where's this guy going?
No,
what is he doing?
Dude,
and
I'm much the same way.
But I watched the interview and I was just like, Sean, you've literally said nothing for the past 20 seconds. And
oh man.
And then like they would start to ask a different question, and as soon as they started talking, that's when I looked up and started answering their question that they had asked like 5 minutes ago. And it's like I did that over and over again and I wasn't aware of it. So please, get rid of the pauses.
No, it's all good. It comes across as more thoughtful to me. At least that's how I see it.
Do you really think there's a lot going on? I don't.
I have the opposite issue. There's nothing going on here. So when I'm doing like my reaction videos for my channel and stuff, like sometimes when I'm trying to figure out something to say after the fact, I'm like, there's literally just footage of me for 2 minutes not saying anything. I'm like, okay, trim this whole thing out. And then it like people think I'm probably just like, I'm like, I can't think like that.
No, for me, it's like I watching it, I could just see the gears in my brain go. Like it was so bad. Anyways, edit it however you want it. But shoot, you were eternally apart in the lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So to me, I find it interesting that with all of the ways for us to stay interconnected, right, that we are growing further and further apart as a community, as human beings, as families, as whatever, right? Now, how old are you guys?
27.
I'm about to turn 25.
Okay. So when did you get your first cell phone?
Gosh, I think I was 13.
I was
grade.
16, I think.
Okay.
17.
So you guys are, I mean, you guys are millennials.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
we know what it's like with no internet.
yes.
Yeah, I remember
that's what
when
I'm
my
getting
dad
at.
had to plug his laptop into the landline to get internet. I remember that.
Dude, that's exactly it. That's what I'm getting at. And I talked about this with a buddy of mine the other day, that it's crazy. It's crazy. We have just enough memory, you know, to remember the world as it was before all of this, and how it was so much easier to be content and to not because there's like this emptiness inside us when we see all of these possibilities in front of us, right? Because it's just like, which way do I go? Like, what do I do? Like, how do I, blah, blah, blah. And you know, these things that are meant to like connect us, and like, they're amazing things, right? But like, you know, technologically, like, holy crap, man, like, this is crazy. Like, there's insane stuff coming out every day, right? Like with streaming, with everything, like, it's mind boggling. Like, you know, when you think about it, it's crazy. But like, it's become so like mundane and like take it for granted. And there's now I can direct my attention at whatever like weird YouTube video that I want to watch, like compilation of dogs peeing on things, or like, you know what I mean? Like, but it because of like the endless possibilities, it like kind of creates this like vacuum in a way where like nothing, it's real, but it's not real. It just, to me, I see it in everything, and I see it in relationships with people, and I see it with, and I'm not saying that I'm above this. Like, dude, I go on rabbit holes and find myself, dude, I don't even have a garage, and I watched a video of this guy, like, remodeling his garage for 25 minutes on YouTube the other night. like I do that. Like, I'm part of it now, you know, like I'm in the matrix. Yeah. Okay. It's real, but like, it's just crazy because I remember before that, and like how different things were, you know, and now, and maybe it's because I remember that. Maybe that's part of why I kind of struggle with it now. I don't know. And by it, I mean like this idea of like intimacy and like this just being open. And I don't mean like putting things out there on the internet or whatever, but like, or like putting on a face or whatever, because everybody has like a internet image, right? But yeah, so there's that, there's the chaos of like the completely polarized state of like everything that's going on, right? Where, at least for me, man, like I don't want any part of it. Like, there's just nonstop, like, just this barrage of crap, man. And that's another thing that's pulling us away from people, right? Like, this is a lot of stuff for one song, but this is where my head was at. There's also the idea floating around that, like, at least in my head, like, knowing people and trusting people, like I can't actually like walk in your shoes, you know what I mean? And you can't actually like walk in mine. Like, I can try my best to communicate like what I'm going through, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not you, you're not me. Like, and that's the beauty of like music though, right? Is that it's like this common thread, right? Like, we may be completely different, like, in every other aspect of our lives, but we can sit here and we can nerd out about Silent Planet, or we can nerd out about, you know, friggin' Norma Jean or whatever, like, right? Anyways. Oh, you know what? You know what? I was wondering, because he was like giving me the dead eyes for a while there.
Oh, is he frozen?
he was like, and I was like, either he is like zoned out or he disconnected.
Yeah, he must have just timed out. Oh, he says, dude, I just had a 1 second power outage.
Bro, hey.
He's trying to get back in here.
Now
that Sean's gone, you can change your name from Sean 2 to Sean.
But for real, he was just like, I was like, either he is like not paying attention to what I'm saying at all, or he's disconnected.
I'm sure he is. He's
and I can't tell.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's great.
While we're waiting, I thought I would say this might be a weird thing, or it's like a huge compliment. You might like it, but you guys are like my wife's favorite band, like metal band.
That's awesome.
For a while, just before we got married, and when I would go and drive to see her, we'd be driving around town, and we listened. I showed her Dark Flag, and she was like, every single song's like, "Oh, that's so good,
dude, that's awesome."
And yeah, no, even now, I think she probably would want me to say hi because she's actually gone right now. But
Word. Well, we say hi back. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yo, Sean.
Yo, I'm so sorry. I don't know if you guys saw that. Like, but I live in a really like sketchy apartment, and
it looks so nice every time I see it.
Okay, it's like a nice. So like the inside is nice, but like the outside, it's like I'm right next to the 40. I literally have the 405 freeway like 300 feet away from my bed. Like,
You're in Fountain Valley, yeah?
Yeah, I'm in Fountain Valley.
Okay, yeah, dude. No, they. I think I told you we have power outages at our shop like all the time.
Oh yeah, it just literally everything went off for like half a second, and then this just happened, and I couldn't get my Wi-Fi back up, and I'm like, no. Let's see. You said you wanted to talk about Thorns.
Yeah, I mean, as another song, like, so we're talking about Eternally Apart, but Thorns was the other one that was, it just really stuck out to me, and I'd definitely be interested in hearing more about the thought process behind the lyrics on that one.
Okay, so would you guys say that there's a little bit of a throwback sound to the fire itself?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember at one point, I forget where I saw it. I think Isaiah may have commented on I posted about Phinehas on KingdomCore, and I think Isaiah commented and said, if you loved, oh yeah, it was for the 10th anniversary of the God Machine. And I think Isaiah commented and said, if you loved this album, you're going to love the new album.
Word. That was something we wanted to get back to, man, because like everybody's, and this isn't a knock to the bands doing it. It's just, it's not, I don't feel like we were right to try and go down that lane of like going the modern route, because it's like, it's fun, like it's cool stuff, and I listen to a lot of it. Like I like it, but you know, at heart we're metalcore kids. You know, we dig the Haste the Days, the As I Lay Dyings, the Unearths, the Darkest Hours, all of those guys. You know, like that's who we listen to. That's like, we still jam them whenever we're all together, like all the time. And so I don't know, with Thorns, wanted to write something different. And it's weird how it came about, because I don't think I was trying to like emulate emulate Crowns. But it kind of ended up being that way. And then I was like, you know what? It'd be cool to kind of do like it'd be cool to just go fully towards that. Like, let's make this a sequel to Crowns. Like, that makes perfect sense. And with the riff that I had, it was in 6/8 anyway. So it's gonna sound like a completely different feel, you know, but it's structured somewhat similar, you know? And so we kind of just ran with that. Like, as soon as I wrote that riff, like I remember texting Dan and being like, dude, I have this riff. I want it to be a sequel to Crowns, and we're going to call it Thorns. And he was like, bad A, let's do it. And so it just kind of went from there. And then when it came down to lyrics, I'm like, no pun intended, riffing off of Crowns, you know, with the lyrics. And I'm like, you know what? I'm struggling with this right now because of everything that's going on, everything that I've been through in the past handful of years. Like, you know, it's me grappling with the lyrics to Crowns. And like from the perspective, it's like the flip side of Crowns, where now instead of, you know, kings of earth bow down. It's, I was a king of earth, but not a king anymore, and like grappling with that and like feeling that I had fallen so low. I'm not saying that I ever thought of myself as a king of earth. It's just riffing off of the lyrics from Crowns, but
Right.
So yeah, and it's just me grappling with that. And in order to trust somebody, you have to put yourself at quite a big risk of there being pain that comes with it.
Man, that's so heavy. We keep on asking you questions, and they just keep going deeper and deeper. And it's hard for me because I just love listening to this. So it's hard for me to put myself back in the interview or into this conversation and be ready to ask another question because I'm just sitting here pondering what you're saying.
And that's where this was from.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Chris, you got to send me a screenshot of that whenever that happened.
Oh, in the moment? Yeah, sure.
Whenever you look at the footage, man.
Yeah, for sure. This is completely random, off topic. The Bob Ross ad.
Yes.
How did that come about? It's just so random, but great.
Dude. I don't know who came up with the idea, but my buddies Marcos and Gene, I friggin' love those dudes. Good friends of mine. We were just hanging out, just talking about the album. They would come and visit Dan and I as we were tracking vocals, and Gene would, take video, and like Gene and I's relationship is like we'll constantly throw shade, But it's just we're always trying to like crack jokes or just have fun with things, and he's insanely talented at what he does. But yeah, so we were talking at one point, and like I can't remember what it was. He might have seen the artwork because whenever I got done with it, like I'm gonna show him. Like he's a graphic designer as well, and they're both artists, both musicians. Both those guys are great, and so wanted to be like, yo, do you think this would work? Type of thing. And it might have been him who came up with the idea. And then I just remember looking up on Amazon, like, all right, how much is this getup going to cost me?
Like an Afro wig, and
bro, it cost me $20. It was completely worth it. Like,
and now you have a Halloween costume.
I literally wore that. It was perfect.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like I already had the shirt. I just had to, take the buttons down a little bit, show off some chest hair, and then get out my palette and my paints. Had some extra canvases, like sure, why not? And then with every single idea that came after that, we were just like, how can we make this the most over the top thing that we possibly could?
Yeah, those are such fun videos to make.
Dude, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And there wasn't anything really scripted about it. I mean, like I tried to stay true to like Bob Ross because I actually think that he's amazing. But like other than that, like with listing off the colors, like it was a collaboration.
You missed one.
What?
August Burns Red.
No, I know, but hey, it's a Phinehas video,
Yeah.
If they want to do a Bob Ross video and be like, this is August Burns Red, then
yeah,
they can do that. I to be honest, we didn't even think about it.
While we're wrapping up here, I know I guess I'm jumping into another sort of deep question, but I just wanted to ask, faith is something that's very important to you. You identify as a Christian. You're an example to fans of the Christian metal scene. Phinehas is definitely one of the top bands in this scene collectively, and so I just wanted to ask, what sort of faith themes are on this record for those listening to this record who are Christians or who are struggling in their faith? What can they get out of this record on a spiritual level?
Man, as far as like struggling with faith, like there's a lot of that in the album, and that's, look, man, I'll be real with you. Like that's been a thing the past couple of years because and just with that, like I'll say this, man, there shouldn't be any shame and there shouldn't be any guilt, because I know from a very young age I was made to feel guilty if I thought a different idea or if I explored an alternative type of thing. Like, and that's why we're in this genre right now, like that's why because like the regular stuff that it just doesn't hit us, right? And so like I was made to feel shameful, like about tattoos, things like that. And like, you know what? I think the same applies to like when you're struggling and having a hard time and you're like, does God really care about me? Even to the point of being like, okay, hey, if you're a real man, like I'd really appreciate something right now, And I don't think that there should be shame in admitting that. And I don't think that there should be guilt in admitting that.
Not at all.
As Christians, we shouldn't make somebody to feel that way. And whether that be like encouraging somebody or that you're not alone in this. Like if you have a problem with the American church, like there's a place for you here, like if you have a problem with, A or B political whatever, and you just want to step out of it, you know what? There's a place for you here. I don't know, man. Like that, this album's a struggle, man. And this album's about finding out who I am. And I'm not trying to like take attention away from God or anything like that, but I do need to be truthful that this album is about me trying to find myself and who I actually am, and and who I am in a functional way. Like I know with God I'm secure. Does that make sense? Like, but who I am on earth and who I am as a father and as a husband, I really need to do some work on. And so for me, spirituality wise, there's some stuff going on for sure, right? There's struggling with faith, the entire verse sections of In the Night, right? You're not meant to fold, you are forced to be bold in the path you seek. There's some encouraging stuff in there, but I think for me and what I was trying to do in this album was really try to practically on a day-to-day level just get through the day. And how do I navigate this as a father and as a husband, and yes, also as a Christian, but like there's a certain point where I had heard, and I hope nobody takes offense to this, I had heard, I'll just give it to God. Okay. I had heard it enough. Okay. I'm not saying that God can't do God can't do anything that he wants to do. He absolutely can. But at the same time, like I need to know just for myself how I can get through the day. Does that make any sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I think a lot of listeners are also going to resonate with that sentiment as well.
Yeah.
It's a weird line to walk because like, look, I believe Jesus is who he says he is, but I also have struggles that I need to figure out, that there are certain things that where the church isn't, that it's just not offering me. So, hey bud, how you doing? Hey, come here. Say hi.
Hi.
Hey, show him Lala. Show him Lala. You want to show him Lala?
My trick.
All right, bud. Well, cool.
Sweet. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. We know you're a busy man. You got a family to take care of and love and lead, and so we really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for taking time, and thanks for inviting me. I'm glad this finally worked out.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So good.
Heck yeah.
Great.
All right, sweet. God bless, man. Appreciate it.
God bless you guys.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful
Nice to
evening.
meet you, dude.
All right, later.
Peace.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of the Kingdom Core podcast. It was so awesome to have you here the whole way. I just want to give a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters, Jonathan
Our
Lehman.
Patreon patrons.
Patreon patrons. I can't even say it right. But special shout out to Jonathan Lehman and Peter from Christian Metal Source. You guys are awesome. Thank you for your giving, as well as our other patrons. I can speak
Yes,
right.
thank you.
It is absolutely amazing that you guys back us financially and help support the podcast. Hopefully, we'll keep getting better and better as we go along.
And real quick, right before we sign off, if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave a 5-star review. Type up a review if you want. It really impacts the show. It gets it out to more people, puts it out on the Apple Podcast charts, and just all that good stuff. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, so some of those reviews are actually amazing to read. So, like,
Yes,
if you guys read
definitely.
a review, we read it. It's awesome. All right, thank you guys so much for listening and or watching. We will see you next time.